The video you're about to see did first air on our NFL Draft YouTube channel, but we have all the NFL offseason coverage you could ever want, from drafts to free agency, trades, and of course the coaching carousel. Hit that sub button if you haven't already, youtube.com/chatsportstv. Let's dive into Dane Brugler's mock draft. Cam Ward, the first pick here, the Miami Hurricanes quarterback to the Tennessee Titans. They need a quarterback. Massive uncertainty in general about the quarterback class in this year's grouping, but Titans, in theory, find their franchise guy at number 1. Browns could also go quarterback. They go Abdul here, the very talented Penn State pass rusher, who many will have as one of the best top 2 players in the class, probably right alongside Travis Hunter. Now, they, again, do not take Shedeur Sanders here. The cornerback/wide receiver would give them an upgrade at corner, and probably at wide receiver beyond Malik Neighbors, an electric two-way player, which we don't get to say really ever anymore in the NFL. A lot of popular mocks have McMillan out of Arizona, the Patriots here. Makes sense. Receiver's a huge need. O-line class is not as great. This could all change depending on what happens in free agency, of course. The Jags take Will Johnson, the cornerback out of Michigan. I think they could use another corner, so this certainly does make sense. We're going 2 rounds, so I'm going to go a little faster on these picks here. The Raiders at number 6 take Shedeur Sanders, the Colorado quarterback. Look, there are mixed opinions on Shedeur. You could see him as high as QB1, probably not that many below QB2 because it's not a very good class. There is the Tom Brady connection, which I don't think should be overlooked given how much sway Brady has here. Head coaching search still to be determined. But I do think Shedeur has a chance to go very, very early. When he awards the gunslinger, the creator, positively and negatively, Shedeur Sanders is the executor of the offense. Who do you think will be the number 1 pick in the 2025 NFL Draft? It is the pinned comment on today's video. So if the ad comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. Number 7, Mason Graham, the defensive tackle. Again, kind of uncertain what their future is going to look like overall, but taking the best player to pair with Quinn Williams, boy, that sounds fun. Jalon Walker was a linebacker edge hybrid at Georgia. Probably does some more of that in the NFL. I'm curious how much size he truly ends up offering. I think there are some concerns there, but Panthers badly need defensive talent. The Saints go with a safety, which is maybe a bit of a luxury pick, but I think Malaki Starks is going to be on a lot of top 10s in terms of the big boards. Josh Simmons, who suffered a knee injury in October, fills a big need for the Bears. Probably had a chance to be consensus offensive tackle number 1 in this class without the injury, but the medical is a real concern. Armand Membu out of Missouri, maybe a surprise pick here to the 49ers. I think Dane's onto something here in terms of being a riser. 11 does feel very rich, even for a very underrated player. Dane also points that he has tackle guard versatility, which could be appealing to San Francisco. Luther Burden III out of Missouri. Now, I actually love this fit for Dallas. They need another explosive playmaker. They don't have that outside of CeeDee Lamb. I think Burden and his after-catch ability fits really well in Dallas, even if it's not Ashton Genty. All right, Will Campbell, the LSU offensive tackle. I wonder if he's a guard. And maybe that benefits Miami since they did spend a second-round pick last year on Patrick Paul. O-line help still an area of concern for the Finns. I do love the fit of Tyler Warren. It was actually kind of funny to see how similar a lot of the mock draft picks Dan and I had from my last mock draft. Like the top 8 were all the same except the ordering, I think, changed, or at least was pretty close to it. Warren and Indy, it just makes sense to me as a fit with what they want to do on offense, what they need on offense. Couple different defensive linemen here. Shamar Stewart had very little production, but he moves crazy well for a guy that's 6'6", 285. So he's going to be a very divisive prospect. Derek Harmon generated some really good pressures for Oregon. Wasn't maybe as productive, but it was more productive than Shamar Stewart. The Michigan State transfer has boosted his stock this past season. Couple different players that stand out to me here, guys that had been mocked even higher at 17, 18, 19. Michael Williams out of Georgia. This is Trayvon Walker all over again to me. freaky athlete, great size, but the production, the dominance wasn't always there. Kelvin Banks Jr. out of Texas. I think he could be the first tackle taken. I like what he offers. There are some concerns with just consistency of the play, the fit with what Texas kind of covered up at times in the offense, but I like him even, I think, higher than Dane does. James Pierce, the disruptive pass rusher out of Tennessee. I will make note this mock draft was done, by the way, before the NFL early entry deadline. I don't love him as a run stopper, but boy, he can get after the passer. Today's show is made possible by Game Time. Game Time's got a new feature. It's called Game Time Picks. Makes getting tickets for events even easier. It filters out the fluff to only show you incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets to find the best value. It is curation to make it easier to save more on sports or concerts, comedy, theater, whatever it is. Game Time has you covered. 2 notes. The all-in pricing feature shows your total cost up front, so there are no surprise fees at checkout. The Game Time guarantee is also this. They will credit you 110% of the difference if you buy tickets in the same section, or if you find tickets in the same section and row for less elsewhere. So go to GameTime.co to download the Game Time app today. Simply create your account. Use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. But again, create your account. Redeem code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, but go download Game Time today over GameTime.co for last-minute tickets, the lowest price, all guaranteed. Then Denver at number 20 ends up getting Ashton Jeanty. And Dane does make a good point. Even outside of Dallas, there aren't a ton of obvious running back needy teams that maybe don't have a bigger need somewhere else. Jeanty in Denver, though, is a lot of fun for what I think Sean Payton could do on offense. All right, Pittsburgh gets Emeka Egbuka, which in theory would maybe help snap the talented but attitude, personal character, whatever you want to call it, concerns at receiver. Colston Loveland to the Chargers. It's going to be such a popular pick. Jim Harbaugh gets a Michigan man to fill a need. Yeah, tracks to me. Tyreek Williams, who I like as a talented defensive lineman who's got size and some disruption ability, and the Packers like adding players along the defensive front early in drafts. They've had some disappointment there, unfortunately, too. 24 is a bit of a surprise to me. How about Caleb Johnson, the running back out of Iowa? There's several running backs, we'll get to Omari and Hampton a little bit here, that if it weren't for to be like, yeah, that's probably worthy of being the number one back taken, Johnson fits that mold. I do think he fits very well with what Kevin O'Connell wants to do on top of that. 25 through 28, Texans go with an offensive lineman, a powerful player in Tyler Booker. Might help the offensive line's ground game issues, by the way. Josh Connerly, the guard or the tackle out of Oregon. I saw good stuff down the stretch. The offense, again, kind of hides some things with what they asked the offensive lineman to do, but I do think Connerly is a good player and has some time to develop with the Rams. Mike Green is an under-the-radar player, but I do like a lot of what he offers. I think he's kind of a rotation piece early. I think Dan Quinn would be able to maximize him. Guys that have helped themselves in the CFP, by the way, Donovan Jackson, who was a guard at Ohio State, kicked out to tackle, and he hasn't lost a sack yet. Or I should say the last 7 games. He had issues against Abdul Carter, I should clarify. But he's stepped up, and I think will play guard in the NFL, but the position flex offers some added value. Siobhan Ravel had torn an ACL in September. We might be discussing him as a top 20 pick. Bills get him here at number 29. Great value. JT Tuimoloau. Eagles always go premium players there. So I don't love him at 30, but I think he has looked really good, though, in the CFP. And again, that's helped his draft stock, too. Kenneth Grant out of Michigan, who does not move the way a player of his size is supposed to move, I think will blow up the combine. Nick Scorton, the edge rusher out of A&M. He fits well with the Lions. I actually love the fit, frankly. I think he needs to cut some bad weight that he had. He was better at Purdue than he was at A&M this season. The Browns get a new offensive tackle. Ariante Ursray. Would not be surprised if he sneaks into round 1. Then the Giants spend a second-round pick on a quarterback. It's Jalen Milroe out of Alabama. Look, somebody has to be quarterback 3 in this class. Milroe's traits are really good. This also has, like Will Levis downside, where big arm, run fast, gets you drafted, doesn't mean you're a good quarterback, though. And there's a lot of, he needs time to sit. I don't think he's ready to play. That's why I don't actually like the fit at all with the Giants. I think that they're going to play him early, and that's going to lead to a lot of inconsistencies. How many quarterbacks do you think go in round 1? Think Shedeur, think Cam Ward all go there. Who do you think goes in the first round? O for over 2.5. U for under 2.5. I think it's under, but I'm not sure. Get those votes in for me in the comments of today's show. All right, other picks here. Tennessee gets Jack Sawyer, the edge out of Ohio State. Would have loved offensive line, but this is the right range for Sawyer. Jonah Savaiinaea out of Arizona. Add some offensive line, probably a guard impact for the Jags. Do love this pick for the Raiders, by the way. If you can get a franchise quarterback in round 1, and then you go back and get the starting running back your team desperately needs, I'm all for that. I love the fit for a Marion Hampton with the Raiders at 37. A boomer bust player at 38 here, Cameron Williams. Traits are there. Skills are there. The consistency, the footwork, the technique is not. He might need a year to sit. I actually would love him in Tennessee, where he can sit and learn with Bill Callahan. So, all right, Wyatt Millam, the West Virginia offensive lineman. This is the Bears pick from Chicago, by the way. Probably an interior player, so a double dip there for Chicago. We'll get to them again in a little bit. Matthew Golden, I was very impressed by his play in the CFP. I think he didn't do a ton at Houston, but Texas had the right eyes on him as a promising player. I don't think he's going to be a number 1. I think he's going to be a really long NFL wide receiver, too, for many, many years. Bears also get an edge here. Landon Jackson out of Arkansas. Big size. Excuse me. Big frame as well. Nick Imanwori, the safety out of South Carolina. Great athlete. Have to answer questions about some of his decisions to leave the bowl game early. Walter Nolan, I think, does fit a pretty good need. High upside player there for the 49ers. And I love the fit for Trayvon Henderson and Dallas, especially if they bring back Rico Dowdle. Henderson is a electric player. I want to keep his touches low, though. I think that would fit well with Dallas and a bunch of teams as the lightning to somebody's thunder. Azareye'h Thomas, the cornerback from Florida State, his brother Wanye Thomas, by the way, is a Cowboys safety. Colts could use some more quarterback help. Would not sleep on Thomas about how bad it was for Florida State this year. Janae Barron is one of my favorite players in this year's NFL draft. I love what he brings. I think there might be some length concerns, but I think it reminds me in some ways of how the Lions deployed Brian Branch in year 1, where he's played tip he can play nickel, play on the outside. He is just a playmaker in the secondary. I'd probably put him at the nickel and let him eat. Who is your favorite player in the 2025 NFL draft? Let me know in the comments section of today's show. I'm also higher than most on Princely McMillan, the Ole Miss edge rusher. Had a nice year for the Rebels. Still needs some development, but Carter needs pass rush help. Love that fit. Harold Fannin Jr., I don't know if he's actually a tight end. He might be a tight end in the way kind of Evan Ingram was a tight end to begin his career, where he's not. He's a pass catcher. But he was a great pass catcher for Bowling Green. I don't love him as a blocker, but I think that Mike McDaniel could make that work. Marcus Bowe out of Purdue, I think is probably going to play on the interior of the offensive line. I know he was a tackle for Purdue. I think is a strong day 2 target for a team like the Bengals. Deion Walker is a freaky player, but he's also a tweener. He's 6'6", 350-ish. Doesn't move like it, but he stands like it. He plays tall. There's a lack of consistency, but I think Seattle could develop him quite nicely. Mason Taylor out of LSU, another tight end in kind of a top-heavy class. I think fits well with Sean Payton. I do like Maxwell Harrison, by the way, out of Kentucky. I don't know if he goes, any earlier than this, or maybe not that much earlier, but I think he's going to be a strong cornerback prospect on day 2. Carson Schlesinger, the linebacker out of UCLA. People weren't watching UCLA because they were bad this year. He's a very good player, though. Jordan Birch is really interesting to me because I would not be surprised if he really tests well at the Combine this year. And you finally saw some of the growth. He was a 4-year player before this season, had a grand total of 7.5 sacks. He had 8.5 this year alone, and he showed some of that immense athletic ability. Josiah Stewart, it's another Michigan man to LA. But it makes sense. It's the right range, fills a need. I don't hate it there at all, even if it is a bit of a, Chargers being a bit of a meme of themselves with Harbaugh there. It's not wrong. Donovan Ezaraku out of Boston College, another promising day 2 edge. We stick with the defensive lineman run here. Alfred Collins to Carolina. They need help beyond Derek Brown. I like that fit. Trey Harris to Houston. I think in a receiver class that gets a little bit thin beyond some of the top guys, I do like Harris on day 2. I also love the Jihad Campbell fit in Baltimore. In fact, I'm pretty sure I put him in round 1 in my mock draft of the Ravens. Love that fit. Dane had him at linebacker/edge. I'd probably put him at linebacker more than anything. Although he can blitz. Elike Omenor out of Stanford, one of my guys. That's a really good fit with Terry McLaurin in the receiving corps in Washington. Also love me some Xavier Watts. Some of my guys here on day 2. He's a playmaker. Not the biggest guy, maybe not the fastest guy, but he makes plays. And I think the range is good because of a high football IQ. Gray Zabel out of North Dakota State. Eagles take him, he becomes a 10-year starter because that's how it works in Philadelphia. Jaden Higgins, I think is a different type of receiver than what the Chiefs have with guys like Xavier Worthy, etc. So I like the fit there. And I love the value of Benjamin Morrison. That hip injury's got to be vetted, but there was a reason we had Morrison as a pretty consensus preseason round 1 mock draft player. But the injury concerns, I think, are a big reason why he fell. So before we go, grade Dane Brugler's 2025 NFL mock draft. A, B, C, D, or F. Let me know in the comments section of today's video.